Dr. Watson, would you kindly close the door behind you so that we can limit the price of your carelessness to merely hours of work rather than days?
My apologies, Mr. Holmes. I found myself rather taken aback. I saw tidier houses in war-torn Afghanistan. Are those my surgical needles?
I ran out of tacks and the matter required immediate attention.
Was that my supper?
Plainly not, for I was the one who ate it.
I set it aside for this evening.
And for that I am grateful.
Is that my bed?
Watson, since you've proven yourself a master of observation, might I ask you to apply your skills to a more pertinent question? Namely, the whereabouts of today's newspapers. They are the key to everything. The newsboy is usually reliable.
Medically speaking, I often find that the key to everything is good sleep. In a bed. Your papers are here, on the table.
Let us see what the postman brought today.
This mess is getting out of hand. What will the landlady think?
Local gossip, all of it uninteresting. Your order from Barnes' bookshop has arrived, Doctor.
Barnes insists on delivering the books to our door, even though we could easily walk to his shop. That's good
Another letter
service.
from Werner. I never reply, but they keep coming. I don't see the Strand. Where is it?
Pardon me?
I am on the precipice of uncovering a pattern of crime across London spanning many months and involving many men. The missing paper cannot be a coincidence.
That's preposterous.
My dear fellow, life is infinitely stranger than anything which the mind of man can invent.
Well, life used your newspaper to wipe its posterior, so after that unpleasant discovery this morning, I disposed of it. But in lieu of the Strand, perhaps I can deliver you something equally tantalizing. I have just returned from a patient of mine, Captain Stemwick, who...
No, that will not do. Grab your coat, Dr. Watson. Let us hope nobody has collected the dustbin. You were mistaken, Dr. Watson. The paper was indeed dirtied, but not how you implied. It's potting soil. A cactus spine. If it gets in your skin, it's awfully tricky to remove, and when laced with poison, the perfect assassination tool. See, Watson? The conspiracy is real. Someone tried to poison me.
Poison? You? That's madness.
Sorry, Mr. Holmes. I just sold my last paper.
Blast. Then why are you still here?
Boss pays by the hour. No sense in returning early.
Any breaking news today?
The dog accident. It's the talk of the town.
Yes. Besides the tripe on the front page, anything about burglaries?
I'm not sure, sir.
You're a bright child. I presume you see everything that goes on around here?
Nothing gets past me, mister.
Then tell me, did you notice anyone suspicious at my door this morning?
Like the man with your newspaper?
Precisely. What do you know?
I know the value of a shilling.
Dr. Watson,
Cool, now I can take the day off.
can you describe the man you saw?
He was carrying a lot of books. Up to his chin they were.
Never heard of a well-read assassin.
Looks can deceive, hence the appeal of disguises. Did you see what he was up to?
Nah, not really. I saw him approaching your house, but I had a customer. Then there's a loud bang. I ducked down. Not 'cause I was scared, 'cause I wasn't. I had to protect the merchandise. And all I could see was him kneeling at your door.
Which way did he go?
Not sure. I was distracted by customers. Sorry.
All right. You earned your shilling. That'll be all.
Thanks, Mr. Holmes. Maybe I could be your eyes and ears, if you have more shillings. Get the Strand! Get...
Come now,
Copy of the
Mr.
Strand
Holmes.
here.
Murder? Yes, Barnes has his quirks, but he also has his scruples.
Not every pawn knows it's part of a game.
How about that Vogel fellow? He seems rather obsessed with you. Would he do something like this?
Mr. Barnes, a word. Ah, for goodness sake.
Who goes there?
Sherlock Holmes. Now will you please...
Mr. Holmes. Golly, I did not see you come in.
Would you care to answer some questions for me?
Well, I wish I could, but I am deep in the weeds with work. How about we reschedule in a month or two?
Come now, Mr. Barnes. It will only take a moment.
No, really deep in the weeds with important things. Well, help yourself to any book. Just take it and pay later. I trust you, Mr. Holmes.
Barnes doesn't seem like himself. Why is he acting this way?
You're asking the right questions, Doctor. Let's find a way to coax him out. The ladder is broken, recently, judging by the freshness of the wood. So, Barnes has a dog now. Who's a good boy? I could hardly imagine anything more macabre. Basics of cryptoanalysis, cryptography in Egypt. It appears Barnes has an interesting hobby. An improvised stand, but it does make the flowers more visible. In the language of Mycroft's secret agents, it's a sign. Dried flowers are replaced when the job is done. I wonder who the recipient is. The finest view London has to offer.
Barnes has always been a little odd, but this is uncharacteristic even for him.
Apologies, but I can't hear you. Please come back later.
The weather is dreary, isn't it? To be fair, my flowers could use the rainfall.
Encouraging people to stop and smell the roses?
Our national emblem. God save the Queen.
It must take patience and care to produce a bloom so beautiful.
I imagine so. I merely sell them.
Familiar spine? Is this what I found in my dustbin? Familiar spine? Is this what I found in my dustbin? The pot is damaged. The blow was severe, but softened by something.
Anything tickle your fancy, Mr. Holmes?
Mrs. Fleming, you look particularly lovely today. Is there a reason?
Does a woman need a reason to look or feel beautiful?
No, but your distant look suggests you seek one man's gaze in particular.
Who told you that?
Nobody. Merely a keen eye and some simple deduction.
Well, I'll kindly ask you to keep your keen eye to yourself, Mr. Holmes.
One of these things is not like the other.
Come again?
The cactus. Those fearsome spines can prove a dole to remove, and the sap is often toxic.
And a rose thorn can give you tetanus, but we still grow them. The cactus seems comparatively harmless, though you have me thinking it must be valuable.
I was under the impression that you knew its price already.
Your guess is as good as mine. The first time I saw this cactus was when I came back from my break.
What do you make of the flowers in Barnes' shop window?
Well, they could use a bit of water.
Do they mean anything to you?
Mean anything how? I'm not sure I follow, Mr. Holmes.
Why do you think they're there?
Are you suggesting the flowers are for me?
It seems likely, does it not?
Oh, I hope you're right.
Are you familiar with Mr. Barnes?
Yes. No, not really. Well, in a way.
What on earth does that mean?
I know who he is, of course, but we haven't shared much more than a look.
A look?
Yes. Each morning I go for a walk in the park with my dog, and most days I spot Mr. Barnes there with his new puppy. So we see each other. Actually, we once met briefly while our dogs played. He was quiet and seemed unsteady as he approached. But since then, we've never spoken. I often see him staring through the shop window. Sometimes I wonder what he thinks about that would etch such longing onto his face.
I think perhaps I have been chasing shadows.
Do not despair, Mr. Holmes. Even the best of us make mistakes. We better tell Mr. Barnes what we've learned.
Mr. Barnes, I know what you did, and I know why you did it.
I'm sorry, Mr. Holmes. I can't hear you very well from behind the door.
You ordered a cactus from the plant catalogue and then left it for Mrs. Fleming as a gift. You place flowers in the window to get her attention and wear high heels to appear taller and more desirable. You are her secret admirer. I couldn't read this morning's edition of The Strand because it was covered in soil and spines. I know you dropped a cactus on it and then fled.
Barnes, it's Dr. Watson. Rest assured we are not interested in disclosing your personal affairs to anyone, including Mrs. Fleming. Please come out.
All right, then.
So, you know what happened then? I was on my way back from the post office, having picked up the cactus and some books. It was quite an awkward package, heavy too, and when I got to your door, I dropped the cactus in your paper. Forgive me.
I needed that paper to prove a theory and prevent a crime. Your actions were rather disruptive. Your clumsiness carrying the post is matched only by the clumsiness of your romantic gesture.
Oh, it's true. I am useless with this sort of thing. I'm not even sure if Mrs. Fleming noticed.
As in most things in life, truth is the answer. Cease with the abstruse signals and anonymous gifts, and simply talk to the woman. What is the worst that can happen? She rejects you, and you are freed from this endless purgatory.
That... Yes, you are correct, of course. I do have a slight tendency to overthink things. Thank you.
So at last, we return to the matter of the paper. I'm investigating a string of burglaries. Did you perhaps read of any before the edition was spoiled?
I don't recall, but you're welcome to read our copy for yourself.
You had an issue of The Strand here all along?
Well, naturally. I am a bookseller. I have a subscription to every magazine and newspaper in London.
So you ought to be familiar with the concept of burying the lead.
Oh no, my apologies, Mr. Holmes. I'll make it up to you however I can. I am an expert on obscure languages and translation and
Yes, okay. Just give me the paper. Come, Dr. Watson. Let us put this matter behind us.
Farewell, Mr. Barnes. I hope to hear good news about you and Mrs. Fleming.
Well, that was an utter waste of time.
An assassination did seem rather unlikely.
There was supposed to be another burglary. I was certain of it. Something you wish to say, Doctor?
No. Well, only that you have a remarkable faculty for deduction and pattern recognition. And that perhaps, if ill applied...
I see things that are not there.
Yes. It is London. There will always be burglaries. Doesn't have to mean anything.
So it seems. Forgive me. Without something to occupy my mind, I turn into an entirely different animal.
Which brings us back to my news from earlier. I think I have a case for you, a real one.
Truly?
Indeed. Though perhaps not as thrilling as your stories from Cordona. A patient of mine, Captain Stenwick, told me that his servant disappeared. I said I knew just the man to help. What do you say?
Oh, Watson.
Yes, I know it's not the most tantalizing mystery, nor the story to launch my writing career. But...
It's brilliant. Let's go.
Oh, good. Well, his house is nearby. Come. Not much further now.
Is this lousy attitude of yours because of my altercation with Inspector Lockhart? Did he put you up to this?
Sir, the inspector has nothing to do with it. I'm telling you the same thing I tell anyone seeking a missing person.
Good day, gentlemen. Forgive the intrusion. Captain Stenwick, this is my colleague Sherlock Holmes, the consulting detective I told you about.
At last, a professional. This useless officer refuses to do anything about Kimmy here, my missing servant. What was your name again? I shall be certain to inform your superiors.
Sergeant Ruffles. And it's my superiors who made this decision, sir.
Have there been other disappearances lately?
Of course, here and there. But when life is tough and opportunity comes knocking, you can't blame those who answer.
Why has the police department decided not to help?
We investigate murders, thefts, fraud, arson, real crimes. A servant walking away from his master is not our highest priority. That said, if we find Kimahia breaking the law, we'll be sure to notify Captain Stenwick. Now, I must be off. Best of luck in your search.
You heard that, didn't you? The way that man spoke to me. I shall need your written testimony, then we can lodge a complaint.
Captain, perhaps Mr. Holmes' time is better spent learning about your servant, so that he may begin his investigation.
Ah, yes. Quite right. Fire away.
Tell me about Kimahia.
He's foreign. A Maori. All the way from New Zealand. Biggest man you've ever seen, and as strong as two. Dark hair and fearsome tattoos. He doesn't speak a whit of English. Never bothered to learn. But I made do with pointing. I invested a lot of money in him, so he must be found.
When did you last see your servant?
Kimmy here normally brings me the morning papers, but yesterday I had to get them myself. He must have escaped the night before yesterday.
May I see your servant's bedroom?
His shack is in the garden. You can't miss it.
Did you search the room?
Of course, but only to check he wasn't lying dead inside. Everything seemed normal at a glance.
I take it this is the first time Kimahia has vanished?
Undoubtedly. The man seemed terrified of the city. I think it was all the noise. He never left this estate. Should he cause any damage, I will bear the responsibility, for it was I who rescued him from savagery and brought him here to England in the first place.
Is there any reason Kimahia may have left?
I should think not. He had all he could have wanted. Gainful employment, new clothes, and all the cabbage he could eat.
Did Kimahia make off with anything of value?
Heavens, no. I would have mentioned it to Sergeant Ruffles.
Still, he must have fled with some money on his person.
No. I kept his wages in my safe. For security.
All right, Captain. I think I have enough to get started. We shall first take a look around the mansion.
Go ahead. I'll be here, mentally drafting my complaint.
Chewing tobacco. A shoe print, roughly size 11, with a worn-out sole. These are a workman's boots. Looks like a knee print. Someone knelt here. The amount of chewing tobacco suggests they were waiting a while.
Amazing, Mr. Holmes. To read the ground like an open book.
Could have left these tracks. They seem fresh. A scrap of Hessian. These were sturdy boxes. It would have required a serious blow to break them. Impressive. The sack of grain retained the shape of an impact. Someone hit their head here. Small navy spyglass. A Maori nose flute. Ngurus, they're called. Clothes made of Hessian. Is Stenwick really so miserly? No air coming through it. No air coming through it. Bottom chops. The remains of a meal. The ashes are long since cold. A heavy chemical odor. Lend me your nose, Doctor.
Ah, I'll never forget that smell after my time in Afghanistan. That's an opioid, Mr. Holmes, a narcotic.
rag reeks of smoke. Someone plugged the chimney. This lock is quite unusual. It appears that the key should be bent to the right. The door to your garden has an interesting lock.
Yes, I have uncommon locks on every door of my mansion. It makes them harder to pick. Kimmy here and I both had a set of keys.
I'll need to borrow them.
No, you'll need to do what I tell you to do. Examine the garden.
I came across a pile of Hessian clothes in the shack. Are they Kimahir's?
Yes, I had to give him something to clothe himself. He seemed unfazed by his bare skin, but I found it distracting.
Is this spyglass familiar?
I don't recognize it.
Could it be Kimahir's, perhaps?
I doubt it. I never saw him with it, nor could I suggest how he might have come by it. Where on earth are you going with this?
Do you happen to know Kimahir's shoe size?
I wouldn't have the foggiest. But I'm sure it was enormous. Not that it matters. He spent his life barefoot. Despite my best efforts, he simply did not take to shoes.
Has Kimahir ever indulged in tobacco?
No, the man doesn't even drink.
Are you certain? I found chewing tobacco in the garden.
I controlled Kimahir's expenses since he struggled with the currency. I would have known if he used tobacco.
Someone moved a cart to this spot and then took it elsewhere. Can't see it anywhere in the garden. Surveilling from afar, the intruder waited for a window of opportunity. When Kimahir went to sleep, the man crept up to the shack and slipped narcotics down the chimney pipe, then blocked it with a cloth. Kimahir inhaled the sedative and fell into a deep sleep. The intruder tried to move him, but the man was heavier than expected. The intruder fell on the sack and dropped his spyglass. In order to transport the servant, he had to use the cart. The final challenge was opening the garden door. Luckily for our intruder, Kimahir had the key in his shack.
Remarkable. It makes total sense.
You'd best have found something by now, gentlemen.
I fear that someone may have spied upon Kimahir. Likely the owner of the spyglass I found earlier. It appears they were watching for some time, as there was an impressive amount of chewing tobacco on the ground.
And your point?
You said that you checked the shack earlier. Did you notice the cart tracks near it? Now, one ought to expect a servant to make regular use of such a thing. Indeed, I would have overlooked the detail were it not for the cart's absence. If, as you say, Kimahir never leaves your estate, then where did it go?
I expect answers from you, Mr. Holmes, not questions.
I found the residue of narcotics in Kimahir's brazier. There are several explanations, perhaps your servant's recreational interest, or an attempt at poisoning.
Cut to the chase, Mr. Holmes.
I won't keep you in suspense any longer, Captain. Kimahir was abducted by the owner of the spyglass. When your servant fell asleep, he slipped a narcotic into Kimahir's brazier to make him sleep even more soundly. In order to carry a man as large as Kimahir, the intruder stole the cart and rolled him right out of your garden.
Now, hold on. All this simply to tell me what I already know? Why haven't you found him yet?
I only arrived a moment ago. It is, frankly, incredible that I have already deduced so much.
Every second you dawdle here, waiting for me to stroke your ego, is another second wasted. I'm not interested in the how, the why, or the who. I am only interested in recovering my investment. Spare me the claptrap, boy, and go and fetch my servant.
Truly, there is no better evidence of a man's nature than the way he treats those who help him. And you, sir, are a brute. The cruelty of your ignorance about the Maori people, your selfish attitude to a man's kidnapping.
The point is, Captain, we're telling you this for a reason. The intruder fled through the garden door, and we need a key to follow his trail.
Well, then you should have led with that. Here you go. I hope you'll return soon with good news. And in the meantime, please teach your companion the art of brevity.
What does it say? What does it say? Roy Soulsby. Could that be the name of our man? A strange substance. I have my suspicions based on the colour and consistency, but would you care to hazard a guess, Doctor?
Well, it's odorless, but from the way it absorbs water, I'd say saltpeter.
Then we're in agreement. Well done. Sturdy rope, professionally tied in a Portuguese bowline. This knot is often used by sailors to create a bosun's chair. Wheels picked up grass along the way. Kimahir's cart, I gather. A large pile of horse droppings. Many cigarette butts. Someone stood here for hours. There was a cab waiting here. Our abductor slipped in and then off into the night. The Strand proved not so useless after all. The saltpeter accident. Doctor, do you recall?
The Port of London, of course. The footwear, the spyglass.
Indeed. We shall need to take a cab there.
Why are you still here?
Where to, Gav? The Port of London, please. I will show you where to stop.
Mr. Holmes, what a compelling mystery we have stumbled upon. Perhaps I have the premise of my next novel.
One kidnapping does not a story make.
Stop! A black cat crossed before us. It's a bad omen.
I do not take you for the superstitious type, Doctor. Such things are mere fantasies, tricks of a feeble mind. One imagines a physician would keep a surer footing in reality.
Perhaps. Before the war, my time abroad was difficult. Once, I came across an Afghan, bleeding, who I could not save. He pressed a rosary into my hand. A gift, he said, so as to gain God's favor. After that...
Dr. Watson?
Yes, well, I shan't get into details, but sometime later I found myself lost in the desert. Dehydration set in, and things grew ever more dire. The man's words came to me. I said a prayer and placed the rosary on a rock. A gift to gain God's favor.
And you were rescued?
Yes. A detachment of British soldiers found me.
To whom I'm grateful. But without their diligence, you would not be standing here and I would not have this case.
I'm sure you have another explanation prepared, Mr. Holmes, but I think I shall cling to the occasional superstition all the same.
To each his own, Dr. Watson. So long as it does not interfere with my methods, do it. We must press on, cat or no cat. The question remains, why abduct Kimmer here? Do you know anything about this?
Oh, you are fortunate. I will help you.
Oh, hardly a reputable establishment.
I've seen worse. Greetings, miss. I'm hoping you can help us.
We shall soon see.
I heard tell of a recent explosion in the port. What do you know of it?
Ah, yes. Something exploded in a ship's cargo hold. Caused a terrible blaze. The sky was red with smoke till morning.
Where precisely did it occur?
The ship sank near the third pier, next to the dockyard.
Are you familiar with a Roy Soulsby?
Roy Soulsby? I know the name, but he's not one of my regulars. My guess is that he works somewhere around here.
Your clothes are already tight and soon they won't fit at all. How far along you?
I thought I'd hidden it better. How did you know? Are you a doctor?
In a manner of speaking.
He's not. He merely has the ego of one. I apologize, miss. Mr. Holmes is fond of his observations, but I am the doctor here, not him. Do you need any help?
I'm fine, thank you. I would rather not discuss my condition, nor let word of it spread.
My colleague and I are seeking a burly man, above average height, with workman's boots.
Half my customers, then. Your description hardly narrows things down.
May I ask you something?
I'm sorry, but I don't know anything.
Excuse me, just one question.
No, sir. I never heard of it.
May I ask you something?
You're lucky to find me.
My daughter swears she saw ghosts in their house too. The coppers even went over there. Must be serious. My daughter swears she saw ghosts in their house too.
Could you help me?
No, sir, I've never heard of it.
Moskva. Sounds like this ship was from the east.
My money is on a loose cigarette or a discarded match. One careless throw and boom.
Not in the mood, mate. Shoo!
Pardon me, sir. I am looking for Roy...
Not again. Yes, I'm Roy. But I can't help you find your uncle or whoever you've lost.
Now, what makes you think I would inquire about missing people?
You are the fourth person to ask this week. Just because I work at the port doesn't mean I keep track of everyone who comes here.
May I ask what you're doing here?
This is where the ship sank the other day. I'm trying to work out how we'll remove it.
You say we are not the first to ask you about a disappearance. Do you recall anything about those who came inquiring?
I only remember the foreign woman. I didn't catch her name, but those are her posters hanging up everywhere. She has badgered me twice now, but I still don't know nothing.
And this woman can be found?
No clue. She was talking gibberish.
Now, where was I?
What are you on about?
Have you seen this before?
My card? Where did you dig that up?
At a crime scene near Baker Street involving a young servant's kidnapping, I might add.
No. Someone used it without my consent. How else would it end up there? That boat explosion stopped most traffic coming into the port. Guess I'll be without work for a while.
Coughing won't go away. The doctor's too pricey.
Hello, lad. Is this where I may find Dea?
You read the poster? Yes? You know where my brother Girves is?
Sadly, no. Well, not yet. I want to speak to Dea. Is she around?
Amma, my mother. She got sick after the fire. Big red smoke. She couldn't breathe, so I took her to the doctor. Now I am in charge.
Where did you last see Girves?
He worked at a, warehouse. This man, Roy Solby, gave him the job. He paid him a necklace.
Do you still have the necklace that Soulsby gave to Girves?
Girves left it near the, shrine. I tried to sell it to buy Amma medicine, but no one wanted to buy.
How would you describe this Soulsby?
He was big and strong. He had a big scary eye.
Scary, you say?
Yes, like it was made of metal.
Don't go anywhere.
I miss Girves. Do you think he's okay?
This cheap pendant looks like silver, but it's only made of tin. No surprise the boy couldn't sell it.
I should have helped Amma put out the posters. If she hadn't...
Have you ever heard of a man with a metallic eye?
I've seen him even. Dirty Summers is the name. A nasty lout, with a silver ball in place of a missing eye. Doesn't look like anything to me. Have you been drinking? Doesn't look like anything to me. Doesn't look like anything to me. Never heard of it.
What do you know about this poster?
A foreign woman asked to put it up. She's plastered them all over the port.
Any clues as to her whereabouts?
None. It was hard to understand what she was saying.
I shudder to ask, but Where does one find a Dirty Summers?
He likely signed on with a ship. I am not one to spy on others, let alone him.
I see.
My advice, keep away from him.
What are you gawping at?
Mr. Soulsby, you know more than you're letting on.
What makes you say that?
A man named Dirty Summers was involved in some recent kidnappings across London. He used your name as a cover for his deeds.
What? Really? That doesn't mean I'm involved, though.
Your calling card was found at the crime scene. That's enough to make you a suspect.
You cannot be serious.
It's true. And that's before mentioning your gold watch. It's brand new and awfully expensive for a customs officer. Clearly you have found yourself another source of income. I'm sure Scotland Yard will be delighted to investigate further.
All right, stop. Look, it's not as it seems. I did not partake in the kidnappings.
I'm all ears, Mr. Soulsby.
Yes, I know Summers. He paid me to turn a blind eye to his business in the warehouse area. Just that, on my word.
You did not tell me which warehouse he used?
I do not recall, but I used red paint to mark unsupervised warehouses. Ought to be one of them.
What else can you say of Summers?
He's a regular at the Cursed Mermaid. Goes there with his crew almost every evening.
What for?
I don't know. I assumed just for a drink.
Why do I have the feeling that you know more about Dirty Summers than you're letting on?
I have nothing more to add, sir.
Enough. I have hard evidence that Summers was involved in recent kidnappings across London.
I'm not surprised. So what?
A customs officer, Roy Soulsby, testified that Summers was a regular here. You must know something about his business.
All I know is his drinks order.
If the lives of the missing do not concern you, then I would urge you to think about your unborn child.
Are you threatening me?
Many people are missing, and the main suspect based himself in your establishment. One word to Scotland Yard and your life takes a turn for the worse. Now, spare yourself the trouble and tell me all you know.
Okay. Summers hired my private room. I think he used it to recruit people, but I haven't seen him in a few days. He paid me cash, so I paid him no attention. Nor did I touch anything inside. Here's the key, go and do what you will. Just leave me out of it.
Five shillings. That won't go far. Strange symbols. I don't recognize them.
Doesn't look like anything to me. Doesn't look like anything to me.
What did you see of Summer's work here? He was recruiting people?
It was like the whole world came through my door. People of all creeds and colours, but always strong, always tall. They seemed like workers or journeymen. Beyond that, there's not much more to tell. I took his money and let him be.
And this lasted how long?
Several weeks, I wager.
May I ask for your assistance?
As much as I'd like to help you, I know nothing about this.
Excuse me, just one question.
No, sir. I never heard of it.
Ma Dalton swears she saw ghosts in Warehouse 2. The coppers even went over there. Must be serious.
Good evening, Constable. I heard some people talking of ghosts in this warehouse.
Gossips, all of them. An old lady neighbour saw some lights and ghostly shapes in the middle of the night. She heard music too. Turns out this was the warehouse of Grandpa Kujak. He owned a business with theatre props for scary shows. I went in and... well, it is a bit creepy. But I think it was probably just some kids fooling around.
Do you mind if I take a look inside?
Not at all. It's like Madame Tussauds, only worse. I'll be on the beat round the pub for the rest of the night. Damned explosion. Good night, sir.
Wrong warehouse. Nothing to see here. An effective contraption. It still works. They opened the casket and left marks. There was a box in the coffin. It was removed quite recently. A herbal odor with an ethylic base. Liquor? Who is this intended to scare? Phosphorus, used recently. Where is this going? Several crates are missing. Bottles of various shapes and sizes. I detect a mix of chemicals and aromas. No brand or markings. It looks like a bulk product. Somebody had fun. A small cart left those tracks. Inspired by the legend of Sleepy Hollow. That's most likely the ghost the old lady saw through the window. Somebody played with phosphorus to give the illusion of ghosts or ectoplasm. In reality, they were here to mix a few ingredients and prepare a solution of some sort. Then they took a box hidden inside the casket. And they left through that gate with a small cart. Dr. Tippett's electric pectobrain. Patent medicine of the future.
This is a patent medicine. A quick fix at an expensive price that drags the patient slowly into death.
Is this familiar to you?
Of course I know. To cut a long story short.
The coffee won't go away and the doctor's too pricey.
Where are we? The field hospital? The cart from Warehouse 2.
The patient has a high temperature and is short of breath. I can hear the patient suffers with their lungs.
Good evening, sir. Are you the gentleman who sells that intriguing pecto-brain beverage?
Good evening, gentlemen. I'm Dr. Thomas Tippett, and yes, its proud inventor and purveyor.
Are you a doctor? You seem remarkably young.
I'm self-educated. I help people in need around these parts with my medicine.
Helping, as in bringing to the grave?
That is unfair, sir. The virtues of my invention are to calm the nerves, to stop coughing due to the endless smog, and to help children to sleep.
Has your beverage been tested by your peers or any medical authority? I am a doctor, and it appears that you are playing with people's lives, people who place their trust in you to ease their pain.
People need help, and drugs are expensive. My formula helps, and it's inexpensive. The product is dispensed from here only, so dose and usage are controlled. I looked into other patented medicines. They contain harmful or useless substrate, and they're sold in respected shops and pharmacies.
Do you realize what you are doing? You are playing with people's health.
You are a doctor. Take a look at my product. You won't find mercury, radium, lithium, or any other toxic substances drowned in alcohol and sold freely by so-called health professionals. I can show you how I work. Let me help people.
Watson, what do you make of this situation?
I'm not sure. Patent medicines can be a scourge, yes. But he is not entirely wrong in practice.
Why the haunted warehouse?
Well, nobody was using it, and people are afraid of ghosts. It kept them away until today. What I do is not entirely legal, but I do help people.
Constable, I'm afraid we saw some troubling signs, unnatural even, inside the warehouse. Dr. Watson here can confirm it, and he's a specialist. It would be best to stay away for now.
Really? I'm 99% sure that ghosts don't exist, gentlemen. I won't report this to my colleagues after my shift. Some of them might be the naive sort who scare easy.
Really, Holmes, this ought to be beneath you.
As my brother would say, it is for the greater good. Good quality, but torn in many spots. Mold. That's why you don't leave sailcloth lying out. The scratches are fresh, left by something metallic. There are a couple of marks on this end. This crank saw some use. The layers of rust will prevent any movement. It's stuck. No one's used it in a very long time. Well oiled and well maintained. Fit for a crank. A hidden passage, just as I expected. Wait here, Watson, and keep an eye on the doors. I'll scout the premises.
Will do. Be careful down there.
Wait. What's happening?
What is this place? Where am I? Strangely cold. Something is missing. This cannot have been under the port of London all along. Is it an illusion? The only way forward is the abyss. Strangely cold. Something is missing. The only way forward is the abyss. Phew, I didn't die. It is icy cold and pulsating. My heart, be calm. Now I am somewhere else. How? It's harder to breathe here. What is that?
head is already spinning. When will this end? There are 2 recesses. There are 2 recesses. On my head. What just happened? It's rather frustrating. A strange stone. It almost feels alive. Oh, that is truly revolting. Frozen and pulsing, almost like it has a heart. Did I get out?
John?
What is it, Holmes?
Watson!
Holmes, where are you? Holmes. Holmes. Are you all right?
Fine. Watson, I'm fine, thank you for asking.
Fine? By Jove, you should have heard the way you called out my name.
It was just a game of shadows.
I'm glad. This place gives me the chills. What are we dealing with?
Something that's finally interesting. It seems made for simple experiments. I wager they could not afford a better set. This box contained a narcotic substance, much like the one in Kimihir's brazier. Black Edelweiss Institute established 17-something. At least 24 pendants, all identical and made of tin. An American passport, Amos Colby. Someone got their hands dirty painting this with blood. I've never seen a pattern like this before. Old blood stains. Did you hear that, Watson?
I hear you.
His abdomen is severely bloated. Cyanosis of the lips, marks on the neck. This man was strangled.
Kiaranak, Flegethor, Lebumna, Siaha, Inguft.
Who are these people?
Oh, potent. This sensor has more narcotic residues. These clothes are missing buttons. They were forcefully removed. Dumpra, a staple of lecturemen's attire in Nepal. Gathered from dozens of people at the very least. I must have seen this one before. That explains my hallucinations. Miserable food, mass-produced. Deep scratches left in a frenzy. A small bloodstain, but not serious. The strength it would take to carry this crate, let alone break it. What on earth? It looks like the scribbling of madmen.
Finglui, Maglanafa, Cthulhu, Rilia, Waganagal, Vatagan.
What on earth?
How is that possible?
These clothes were crudely cut off someone. An American, judging by the style. Someone used mud to draw a cross in a rectangle. Why? Fine rope work, cut by a finer blade. Many people were brought to this place. Their abductors stripped off their clothes and discarded them in a pile. The prisoners were kept in a soporific trance by the use of narcotics. A few tried to resist, but alas, in vain. After a few days, everyone was stuffed in a crate and sent elsewhere. Only one captive was left behind. He was strangled to death on this altar.
What the hell is happening, Holmes?
Calm yourself.
Cannot be. What is it? Oh my God. Please tell me we found all we needed to, Holmes.
I think we found a bit more than that.
Yet we have no clue as to where those people have been taken.
And that's where you're wrong, Watson. We have more than enough. I just need to connect the dots.
How about you pack your suitcase in the meantime, my dear fellow?
Just in case. Dr. Watson, how does a trip to Switzerland sound to you?
It sounds unexpected. What makes you think we should head there?
It's all about the box with narcotics and Mr. Colby's clue, the cross inside a rectangle. Put two and two together, add a dash of research, and what do you get? The Black Edelweiss Institute in Interlaken, Switzerland. If we hurry, we can still catch tonight's train. As grateful as I have been for your company, Dr. Watson, I'm afraid you shall have to investigate Edelweiss alone.
Alone? Mr. Holmes, I fear you overestimate my abilities.
Nonsense.
You are a military man, a bastion of British courage.
I'm no such thing. As a doctor, I avoided most combat, save for one dreadful day. My troop was ambushed in a village, with innocents caught in the crossfire. Too many to help.
The man with the rosary. He was one of them?
A translator, yes. We were trapped. 6 soldiers and myself. I thought it was the end. But Lieutenant Paget refused to go quietly. The men prepared for a final stand. I rose to follow, but Paget shook his head. He told me to run. That I had other men to save. They charged, and I fled through the rear. So you see, Mr. Holmes, I am a coward.
The logic seems inescapable.
Yes.
You, a surgeon by trade, would have been perfectly useless in that conflict.
What? No.
And how many men have you helped since? Ailments eased, troubles tended?
No more than a handful. Truth be told, I have become somewhat of a recluse.
How many people could you help with 30 years ahead of you? Dozens? Hundreds? Paget was correct. You can cease your self-recrimination.
Holmes, I don't know what to say.
I would start with, I am Dr. John Watson, may I look around? The Edelweiss staff will doubtless be eager to show off their facilities to a fellow physician. I have already taken the liberty of sending a letter on your behalf to request a visit.
And what of you?
I shall be pursuing other avenues. Should you see anything troublesome or improper, simply notify the local authorities. Otherwise, try a little analysis yourself. You know my methods. Apply them.
Salutations, madam. I am Dr. John Watson. I was wondering if you've got word of my visit.
Yeah, Dr. Watson. We received your letter on the matter. Would it be to see Professor Gygax?
At their earliest convenience, yes. I shall try not to take up too much of their valuable time.
Wait here, bitte. Mr. and Mrs. Bronson, your girl has made remarkable progress. See? Take a look for yourself.
My apologies for keeping you waiting, Dr. Watson. Surely you understand how medical work can make one lose track of time.
Do not be sorry, Professor. I too know the importance of closely attending to patients.
The work hardly stops here, yet the satisfaction of perfecting the mind compels us to persevere.
I take it you welcome many a soul into your establishment?
Admissions, yes. Visitors, though? I am curious as to what brought you to the Schwarzes Edelweiss.
Word of mouth. An article I read back in London spoke highly of your institution. But rather than taking its word for it, I thought I would see things for myself.
My asylum's reputation precedes it, then.
Everyone, your attention, please. Guten Day. Yes, hi. Hello. The name's Amos Colby, Northwood Detective Agency, Boston. I got questions that need answers. Who's in charge here?
What seems to be the matter, Dr. Watson? You can tell me.
By Jove, it cannot be him. That man, well, the real Amos Colby lies 6 feet under in London.
No. In my line of work, it can't wait. The longer it takes
If
me
you
to
wish
get
to
the
recuperate,
truth,
Dr.
the more
Watson,
lives
you
are
may
placed
avail
in
yourself
harm's
of the
way.
guest room.
But I have so much more to discuss.
Nurse, if you'd be so kind as to escort Dr. Watson to the guest room. Herr Colby, from Northwood Agency? How unexpected. I am Professor Gygax. I would be happy to answer your questions in the examination room.
Look, Professor, unless you got any clues as to the whereabouts of...
There is no need to be alarmed. No one gets neglected in my care.
Now, let's not resort to brute force.
Do not worry, Herr Colby. My methods are rather more delicate. Search him thoroughly. Then take him to the holding chamber. I need to decide precisely what to do with our guest.
The unmistakable scent of alcoholism. Did you walk through their doors as I did, or did they collect you off the streets? Truncheon, not the typical tool for a nurse. Raw materials used to formulate medicine. Any chemist would envy the quality of this equipment. The final product, ready to cure madness, or to push one deeper into its grasp. With this equipment, they can create any type of medication. It sounds sinister, even for a place like this. I wonder if there are more frogs in the pond. Very sturdy. I might borrow it. What was that? Is someone there?
You there! I command you to free me at once!
I'm not sure that's a great idea at the moment.
How dare you deny me? I must have my revenge against the lickspittles upstairs!
Fortunately for you, I'm here to stop the very same people.
You are?
Indeed. But first, I must discover all I can about this institution. Tell me, have you witnessed the arrival of any foreign patients?
Tell me? The goal? The impertinence to bark such orders!
Please, we don't have time for this.
Do you know with whom you speak? I am the great Napoleon!
Ah. Napoleon Bonaparte?
The one and only. Emperor of the French, first consul of the Republic, leader of La Grande Armée. Once I am free and have exacted my revenge against the guards who ridicule me, I shall rest happy in the arms of my beloved Josephine.
Right. Well, I will leave you to your scheming, Emperor.
My heart is pierced by Cupid. I disdain all glittering gold. There is nothing can console me but my jolly sailor bold.
A certificate of appreciation from the municipal councillor to Professor Becker for contributions to the development of medicine in Interlaken. A simple toolbox, yet capable of repairing anything. Tubes of varying diameters. Interesting. R.G. Hill, Dr. Connolly. It appears that all the psychiatric classics were banished here. John Sallow, the tulpa phenomenon. I'm somewhat of an expert already. Speech and the Cerebellum by S.A. Becker. This photo was damaged, seemingly by oil. I can make out the names listed here. Cooking grease. Is this the kitchen dumbwaiter? Looks like it's still operational. A painting in a mental institution. Vogel would be delighted. unmistakable scent of alcoholism. Did you walk through their doors as I did, or did they collect you off the streets? There's the guest room. I wonder if Watson was able to speak to Gygax. This sedative worked faster than I expected. Perhaps I ought to train myself. Build up a tolerance. I'd rather not sit in this chair ever again. Locked. I suppose the reception will be guarded anyway. Darn. No way I can get past him without being noticed. I'm sure I heard something. This should suffice. This should be enough to avoid unwanted attention, at least from a distance. Manufactured and packaged here. This is the same narcotic substance that we found in London.
Go away, or I will tear your lips from your skull with my fingernails!
Miss,
I'll gouge your eyes out and cut off your hands, just like you did to Heidi.
I am quite certain you would, but I'm afraid you have me mistaken for someone else. So, I take it your name is Gerda. Who is Heidi?
You talk strange. You're going to Hell's Door, aren't you? To where those other funny talkers finally shut up?
Hell's Door? To what do you refer?
Only Heidi had answers. Go away, pig!
I
said go, or you will spend your last moments on Earth screaming. This door won't stop me.
So you're Heidi. I didn't realize I was on Haunted Doll Watch. Good lord, how unsettling. The damage seems intentional. The garments of several dozen people at least. Fabric burnt in the furnace. A jalabia, a traditional garment from northern Africa.
I will make them pay for what they did to Heidi.
I believe I have found your friend.
Heidi! Oh, poor girl. What did they do to you? Shh. It's all right now. Everything will be all right.
Please, Gerda, now I have found Heidi, I need some help from you in return.
Shh, Heidi. We should thank the man, don't you think?
How did you end up in Block B?
The nurses say I'm prone to violent outbursts, but they're wrong. I just do what Heidi tells me.
Have you ever met Professor Becker?
I remember him. He was in charge here before that witch Gygax. But I haven't heard his voice for a long time. Too bad. He was nice.
Tell me all you know about those funny-talking people.
We'd hear their screams. The guards would take them down the corridor behind you and they'd disappear. And the screams would stop.
Professor Gygax seems to rule this facility with an iron fist. Do you know anything about her?
She's sick. She did nasty things to us. Separated me and Heidi just for fun. Before she got here, this place was all right.
I shall leave you two to get reacquainted. So this is how they kept the prisoners docile and harmless. An orthodox reliquary commonly found in Eastern Europe, now in a cell halfway up the Alps. This stretcher was disinfected frequently. These are the same crates we found in London. I should take a closer look. This is the same design as the one from London. I doubt that one could survive such a journey with this little water. Dirt and sweat. They were locked in here for days, judging by the smell. The kidnappers even provided airflow. How generous. This trip was prolonged and perilous. The stamp on this crate confirms it came from America. That's quite a distance to travel. A bottle this sturdy doesn't break by accident. Substantial blood loss. One poor soul found another way out. The doors can be opened for deliveries. carriages were backed through these doors, and they began to unload their cargo in secret. Next, the crates were opened, freeing their passengers. Not everyone survived the journey. The dirty, exhausted, and dehydrated prisoners were then herded into cells. But all the cells are now empty, and I have not located a morgue. Time to find Hell's Door. The killer was strong enough and the bathtub deep enough to drown poor Lucy.
I was so scared I'd lost you, Heidi.
The killer swapped Timothy's pills for cyanide. The faint almond scent is unmistakable. The murderer used his left hand to kill Hannah with a brick. Petter gouged at the wall, fighting for his life. Odds are he left scars on the killer, too. killer was limping, but Abigail couldn't escape. Well, it's clear that it was a multiple murderer. I'll send the profile to the police after we finish here. Scratches. Something has been moved through here. This seems to be a locking mechanism. The whole thing must be a door.
I will make them pay for what they did to Heidi.
I found Hell's Door, the one that made the foreigners silent, remember? How do I open it? Gerda, please, I cannot get inside. You have to tell me how to open it.
How can you speak to me like nothing's wrong? Can't you hear Heidi crying? Look at her! Look! She's suffering. I can't even hear my thoughts over her screams. Poor Heidi. We will fix you. I promise. We will fix you!
Leave it with me, Gerda.
You're going to be good as new. Stay with me, Heidi. I can't lose you again.
Will this help fix your friend?
Give it to me.
How is she feeling?
Everything will be all right, Heidi. Everything.
Gerda, I have a couple of questions.
Yes,
Shut your dirty little mouth, Gerda. You've said enough already. She won't speak no more. Now it's only Heidi. You helped me, and I didn't cut out your eyes. So we're even. Now go!
Heidi, there are things I need some clarity on.
Ask if you dare, but if I get bored, there will be consequences.
I found Hell's Door, but it's locked. Is there a way to get in?
Hell's Door? Never heard of it.
That's not true. You, Gerda, told me that Hell's Door makes people silent forever.
And you believe that snotty little girl? I'll personally ensure that she never dares to speak again!
Professor Gygax hurt you repeatedly, scarred your body and mind. You are not protecting Hell's Door. You are simply afraid of the consequences were I to enter.
I could tap your teeth out with a hammer until you choked on the blood and bits.
You could. But then you would live the rest of your life in fear of Professor Gygax. I can make that feeling go away.
How?
I can stop her. But the key, Heidi, the key to Hell's Door is critical to stopping Professor Gygax. And I think you know where it is.
Tell him!
But you said...
And now I say tell him!
The professor. She has a special key. Keeps it close and only brings it down when you people go through. Behind those closed doors, those people start to sing. Oh, they sing in so much pain.
Gygax. Of course. Thank you, Gerda. Heidi. I must leave.
Leave? You joke. Nobody leaves the Edelweiss. Now you will be with us forever!
At last! You came to your senses.
My humble apologies, Emperor.
Spare me your groveling, Englishman.
Of course. You are right as ever, for you see, time is of the essence. The Royalists have risen again, and your darling Josephine needs you. Paris needs you.
Mon amour.
But the guards upstairs in reception stand in your way.
Ha! They will pose no problem for the likes of me. Merci, Englishman. When I return to Les Tuileries, I shall make you a general.
Oh, you are too kind, Emperor. Now go. Your freedom awaits.
I am coming, Josephine. Josephine, me voilà. Impossible. Catch him!
Psst. Watson. Over here.
Holmes? What are you doing here, and where did you get that outfit?
It is unimportant. I require your assistance.
What is happening, Holmes? I need an explanation.
It's quite simple. I created a distraction so that I could tell you something important, and in turn, I need you to acquire something important for me.
How can you call any of this charade simple?
Watson, we can discuss this later. Time is of the utmost importance. The kidnapped people may still be here. This is what I know so far.
What? You really found all this on your own?
Focus, Watson. I need you to find a key. It will be most unique. All the details are in my notes. Logic dictates that Gygax will keep it near her. Once acquired, you must get it to me. Perhaps the kitchen dumbwaiter could be of use.
Holmes, I can't do this. I'm no spy.
Yes, you can, Watson. You are unfailingly dependable.
Dr. Watson, visitors are not permitted back here.
I'm terribly sorry, Mr. Kuntz. After the war, my nerves, I fled all that commotion.
It is nothing. A patient attempted to escape. He will not get far. Now, if you would like to follow me.
Blood in the water. Someone must have washed their hands here recently. What have we got ourselves into, Holmes? The only reason to hang something this harrowing here would be to create another patient. Did a child make these? Perhaps I should take this. For all I hope it won't be needed. Miss?
I hear them scratching. Don't you hear it?
I want them to fly!
I don't want to guard block B tonight.
I'm struggling to remember something.
This area is off limits. A patient has escaped.
Looks dusty but functional.
Oh, we never use that. I think it connects somewhere downstairs.
Ah, Dr. Watson. Just the man I wanted to see.
Professor, I'm surprised you're not trying to catch that escapee.
Please, my time is far too valuable. I hope Nurse Kuntz has been taking good care of you.
He has certainly kept me out of trouble.
Professor, it is time for your appointment with your next patient, Mr. Wolf.
Herr Wolf can wait until tomorrow. I wish to speak with Dr. Watson.
As you wish.
You still see patients yourself, even as the director of this entire facility?
Only the important ones. And yet I rarely get to pick the brain of a man like yourself. I think it is time we got to know each other, no?
I'm afraid there's not much to know. I'm just an average chap living a rather prosaic life these days.
Dr. Watson, those of us who pursue knowledge are anything but average. Now, who are you?
I'm a physician in search of a stimulating career. I have patients, yes, but admittedly, I'm more interested in the cutting edge of medical research. So when I read about the Black Edelweiss and your work on the healing of minds, I simply had to learn more.
I suppose my Edelweiss was always destined to attract other curious minds. But before we continue, I want you to understand one thing. A broken mind can never be truly healed.
Ah, I see. So, what exactly do you do here?
It is simple. If you cannot fix a person's nature, you must force them to forget it.
Surely there are other methods of treatment.
How naive. You remind me of a man I once knew, Professor Becker. But we do not speak of him anymore.
A colleague?
The former director here. One day he realized that Edelweiss had outgrown him and had to leave his post. Do you grow weary of me already, Doctor?
I was simply admiring your office, Professor. Apologies.
While I am pleased you appreciate its practicality and appearance, we were discussing bigger things. Was my conversation boring you?
No, not at all. I merely...
No, I understand full well. You're not seeking conversation.
What do you mean?
It is obvious. Your mind craves truth, but not in this form. You must witness a practical demonstration if you are to learn.
I'm certainly intrigued. Would that be possible?
Of course. I propose a journey between the jury of the human brain. You will not leave without being truly enlightened. Kunz, take Dr. Watson back to the courtyard. Then tell the nurses to prepare the operation room and the girl with the doll.
Yes, Professor.
Our preparations will take a little time. I will come for you soon, Doctor.
Good Lord, that's a lot of records. The photograph seems recent. A commemorative photo album. Been a while since I've been in one of these.
I hope you're finding your room comfortable, Dr. Watson.
I hope everything is to your liking, Dr. Watson.
You are Mr. Wolf, am I right?
Oh, hello. Who might you be?
My name is Dr. John Watson. I wanted to talk with you, if you didn't mind.
Ah, Doctor. I don't suppose you could help. I seem to have forgotten where I am.
We're in the Black Edelweiss, Mr. Wolf. It's an asylum in Switzerland, and you are one of its most important patients.
But why am I here?
That's what I was about to ask you.
I can't remember. Sorry, I can't remember anything.
It's all right. You don't need to push. Try to relax. Let the thoughts come and go. Now, what comes to mind? Mr. Wolf?
Oh, hello. Who might you be?
We just went over this.
I'm sorry, but I don't think we've met.
We were just discussing this facility, the Black Edelweiss Asylum, and why you are here.
That name does sound familiar.
Holmes, the things I do for you.
Excuse me, who are you? And who's this Holmes fellow?
I am Dr. Watson, and Holmes is, well, you could call him my imaginary friend. That's just a little joke, don't mind me.
But why am I here, Doctor? Am I sick?
I'm sure I can take a look. Dear Lord, what did Gygax do to you?
Excuse me, who are you?
Oh, never mind. Hello again. You won't remember me, but we've met before. I am Dr. John Watson, and you are Professor Becker. You were the previous director of this facility, the Black Edelweiss.
Professor, really? Actually, that name does sound familiar. Wait. Let me write it down. I try to recall memories through writing, but they always feel just out of reach.
As a matter of fact, I have more for you to jot down.
Oh, yes. Yes, please, anything.
Professor Gygax did this to you. She made you forget everything, even who you are. But we will play a trick on her. We will write a letter so that she learns her lesson. Put down what I dictate. Dear Professor Gygax, I bitterly regret that I let my beautiful alpine flower fall under your influence. I see now that you never deserved to sit as the director of the Black Edelweiss. You will be brought to justice, and the world will know your cruelty. And by the time you make it to my cell, the police will already know the truth of how you came to be director of this asylum. Signed, Professor Becker.
There. It's done. Now, hold on a minute. Who are you?
My name is John Watson. I'm a doctor from London, a veteran of Afghanistan, and I wish to be a writer, though deep down I fear I lack the talent. And presently I'm risking my life to help my brilliant detective flatmate in the pursuit of a cult of kidnappers, even as I fear it may destroy him. I'm tired and hungry, and I have not had a good bath in weeks, and yet despite it all, I feel alive. Any more questions?
Good heavens, sir. You're as mad as they come.
One of the patients asked me to deliver this note. It's for Professor Gygax.
Thank you, Doctor. Leave it with me.
A letter for you.
Unbelievable. Kunz, with me.
Nothing special about this. Close, but I don't think this is the key. This is too small to be what Holmes asked for. An Edelweiss relief about 2 inches in diameter. This must be what Holmes was after.
The tooth of an adult male, likely lost in a beating. Only a couple of days old. The inside of the cuff is worn. It's been used often. A wax cylinder. There is something recorded on it. The writing is mostly gone. Phonetic symbols, perhaps.
Vertagen.
Looks as if it's been recently used.
Ringlui Maglana Parkatulu, Rillier Wagnana Galpatagan. Ringlui Maglana Parkatulu, Rillier Wagana Galpatagan. Ringlui Maglana Parkatulu, Rillier Waglana Galpatagan. Ringlui Maglana Parkatulu, Rillier Wagana Galpatagan.
Dynamo machine. Provides electrical stimulation for the person in the chair. Full-grain leather straps, impossible to escape. A very professional brain dissection.
Oh, the smell.
Dear God, is that body parts? Judging by the remnants of blood and flesh, these instruments were used for dismemberment. Utterly inhuman.
Get out of my head!
Your iron fist is devoid of soul. Find reverence for the one and tremble.
Lord.
Left your Lord. Splinter your soul and become a servant of madness.
Please! No more! Stop it! Watson! John! Somebody!
Wretched mortal, do not fear what is to come. Let him rupture our world anew. Awaken! And let the
world behold!
The light of the abyss is the light from the abyss. Get out of my head!
A hydraulic elevator? How ingenious.
It's sealed tight. I can't exit the same way.
Watson?
Holmes?
What are you still doing here?
Still? I was trying to find more information. Did you think I was just going to sit in my room twiddling my thumbs?
I only asked you to find the key. I had everything else under control.
Says the man who looks like he saw a ghost.
I'm fine, Watson.
You're hardly fine. You reek of congealed blood and chemicals. What did you see down there?
Never mind me. Where's Gygax?
I'm afraid she's over there. I found her like that when I entered, on my word.
What? She was our biggest lead.
Yet another wrinkle in our investigation. What do we do now, Holmes?
Hush. Let me think. Heidi, how did it end up here? The pencil is buried deep all the way to the brain. Instant death. No traces of blood on her clothes. Must have got on her white overcoat. The patients here wear the same robes.
We'd better inform the local police about this.
You're right, Watson. But first, we need to determine where our case goes next. We've got what we needed, Watson. This conspiracy reaches further than we thought. I don't suppose you've ever been to New Orleans?
You are joking.
I seldom do. Let's go. There's no time to waste. There's nothing in this world that cannot be explained with logic and reason. Nothing in this world.
Holmes?
Hmm?
You seem troubled.
I'm not troubled, Watson. I am preoccupied.
That place was awful. Inhumane. It would be natural to experience some feelings of shock or fear.
Men reduced to gibbering imbeciles, numb beyond recognition, powerless to help themselves. When a doctor does go wrong, they are the first of criminals. They have the nerve and they have the knowledge.
That woman did not deserve the title. Such casual cruelty for such selfish aims.
I knew another man like that once. He treated my mother, perhaps even killed her, depending on who you ask.
My sincere condolences.
In the end, she was just a shadow of herself. The outline of the person I recognized, but lacking all else. She was pushed until she cracked. Should you see me cracking, John, I must ask you to intervene.
Nothing compels us to pursue this matter further, Sherlock. We can return to London, report what we have discovered. Let more capable hands take over.
Alas, there are no such hands. Were we to abandon our quest now, I fear no other would succeed in our stead.
We know nothing of what awaits, what dangers lurk in the darkness.
Nonsense. We draw nearer to New Orleans with every passing minute, and thus closer to the answers we seek. Those answers, for all their perversity and improbability, will, nevertheless, be the work of men. And that is a work I have studied well.
So be it.
I know you to be a diligent author, but if I may make one request. Kindly omit my mother and her suffering from your tale.
Of course.
Thank you, John.
Ah, Holmes. After our trip to nippy Switzerland, I can certainly use some of this New World heat.
Do not get carried away, Watson. What we could certainly use are answers to my questions.
I know, but you look exhausted. Why don't we find the hotel first?
We shall rest when our investigation is over, and not a moment sooner. I shall ask you to handle our bags while I search for the bank.
As you wish. Oi! Stop it, you! Our luggage! Good Lord, what have you done? That's my stuff.
I'm sorry, mister. It was an accident.
Our ship leaves tomorrow morning. No room for sightseeing then. More people missing here, too. Black opals being auctioned at the banking house of E.W. Gray. Could you help me?
I'll help you, sir. You have my full attention.
Mr. Frank Barnaby, right? Auction's about to start.
In the flesh. Now, if you'll excuse me.
Well, hold up. Written invitation first.
Can I present another piece of identification?
Nope. That's why we sent the invitation.
Holmes, over
Post
here.
auction, gems sold. By invitation only.
Any luck?
None. They're holding an auction, invitation only. The good news is, I know who might have one. We need to find Mr. Barnaby.
Who?
Frank Barnaby, most likely a local.
And do you think Mr. Barnaby will be happy to share his invitation?
Let us first find him, then we can see if he is the generous type.
Got a spot in mind?
Actually, I'm not sure yet. May I ask you something?
I've heard about that. Let me tell you.
How marvelous, Holmes. A city within a city.
Indeed. Those lanterns are delightful. It is as though we've been transported to the Orient itself.
Very good. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Locked. No one's here. Rather unassuming for a jewelry store.
Damn, he at it again. Barnaby still owes you. If he can't pay in greenbacks, he'll pay in blood.
May I ask for your assistance?
I'm bone tired, but yeah, I'll help you.
This place. There's a Spartan charm, does it not?
It does. My soul will always yearn for London's gloom, but it reminds me of Cordona in a nice way. Barnaby, unconscious but with his eyes open. Look, Watson. The two of you are just alike.
Oh, great. So I look like a haggard alcoholic.
Eureka!
What have you got?
An idea. First, we'll need Mr. Barnaby's clothes.
Holmes.
Watson, time is of the essence. You will go to the bank, not as yourself, but as Frank Barnaby.
Holmes, we look nothing alike.
The hat and coat will do the heavy lifting. Just stay cool, play the part, and no one will notice the difference. Trust me.
Holmes, must we really indulge in this farce?
It worked in Switzerland, didn't it?
Sure, if you redefine the word worked.
Where's my cash, Frank? In the bartender's tip jar? Where's the money, Barnaby?
I'll wait here so as not to arouse suspicion.
Mr. Barnaby.
Right you are. Shop owner.
Right. Your invitation, sir?
Here you go.
You okay, sir? Seem to have the jumps.
I'm in a rush.
Come on in.
Heavens, I never seen gems so big.
I simply must have them.
Is this familiar to you?
I'm so sorry. I can't be of help.
Sorry, I'm just dealing with another client's request. Please wait a moment.
This might be useful. I'll make a note.
Morning, sir, and welcome to the E.W. Gray Banking House. The auction will begin shortly. Name's Zoe Clemens, and I'd be delighted to help you.
Pleasure to meet you, Miss Clemens. I am Frank Barnaby. I do have some questions, if you don't mind. Forgive my curiosity, but who was the previous owner?
Sir, I ain't at liberty to disclose them details.
These gems are rather curious. What can you tell me about them?
These rare beauties are black opals, all the way from Coober Pedy, South Australia. When they catch the light, the dark stone becomes a brilliant rainbow. It's something special.
It doesn't say where these stones came from. No provenance, no previous owner. I'm starting to suspect they were illegally procured.
What? We would never. I can assure you these gems were bought from one of New Orleans' most upstanding citizens, a philanthropist no less. If you would like to know more, I could get my manager.
You old dog, Barnaby. Didn't think you'd sober up for the auction. An hour ago, you were 3 sheets to the wind.
Oh, you know, I hold my liquor better than most. And the auction was an important business opportunity.
An important business opportunity? Ha! What have you done with the real Barnaby?
Well, maybe I'm drunker than I thought, mister.
Mister? What's wrong, Frank? You're looking pale. Don't you recognize your old pal, Grub?
Sorry, Sheriff, but I don't have time for this.
Now, Frank, when I'm talking to you, everything else waits. If I want to talk, you talk. If I say jump, you say off which pier. Do we understand each other?
Yes, sir.
Good. Now, while I have you, there's the matter of your outstanding fines. I've been more than reasonable, but I'm afraid the bills come due.
Fines? Right, I'm afraid I don't have anything on me.
That's funny. Ain't you at the auction? I weren't born yesterday, Frank. Now, assault, battery, disorderly conduct, that's serious stuff. You got off easy, but if you don't pay up, things get a whole lot worse.
Look, Sheriff, I'm not actually...
Whoa. Think careful now, 'cause Frank Barnaby only owes us cash. But fraud, impersonation, that's weasel behavior. And you know what we do to weasels round these parts. Feed 'em to the gators. So, Frank, what's it gonna be?
Here's all I have.
Mighty fine of you. The people of this parish deserve peace. They don't take kindly to visitors. Don't miss that boat tomorrow morning, Doctor.
I told you, Holmes. I told you it was a bad plan. Now we're penniless and wanted criminals.
Hysteria gets us nowhere, Watson. Tell me what happened.
The sheriff saw right through me. He knew who I was from the start. Extorted me for every coin I had.
Bah, all that matters is what you learned about the gems.
I shan't discuss it while still wearing that blighter's clothes. I'm going back to the boat to get changed. A pox on the crew.
No! Was that your luggage again? I don't understand. We just got it back in order.
Oh, bollocks, now our clothes are in the bloomin' water.
It was like the luggage had legs of its own. Oh, Mr. Pratchett will have my head.
I ain't sure what you did to the sheriff, but it must have been something real hairy to have him chuck your luggage off the pier.
With respect, miss, have we met before?
If you were the real Frank Barnaby, yeah, we would have. But where are my manners? I'm Lucy. And you are?
John. I didn't mean to be rude. I've just had a difficult day, miss.
Well, it's barely noon. And you've already made an enemy in Sheriff Grubb. The man starves his gators just in case someone crosses him. John who?
Watson.
Well, Johnny, if you plan on sticking around, you better change that suit, or Frank's reputation will catch up with you. And then you'll be a John Doe.
Alas, I think one of those gators is currently devouring my spare clothes.
You've got yourself in a fine pickle. All right, come on board the Nymph of Louisiana, and I'll sort you something to wear.
The nymph? Is that what it sounds like? Why are you helping me?
Well, let's just say you ain't the only one who's had run-ins with the sheriff. Way I see it, this city deserves better. Now quit your stalling and head on over to the Nymph. I'll be in room 6.
This Mr. Barnaby is proving rather useful. Perhaps you're not so different after all.
One more word, Holmes, and I'll hand you over to the sheriff.
Sorry, was that John talking or Frank?
Oh, go annoy someone else while I visit the nymph.
Always a pleasure to see you regular, Mr. Barnaby. Welcome home.
Well, look at you. All dressed up with nowhere to go.
I can't thank you enough. As I was saying, our journey has hardly gone to plan. We seem no closer to finding our missing people than when we left.
Well, if there were anything to know, Champagne'll know it. She's across everything in New Orleans. Look for her in the fisherman's village behind the Creole Quarter.
Thank you again, Lucy. I shall make my way there now.
Good luck, Johnny. Keep out of trouble.
Ah, forgive me, Watson. The difference is plain as day. What a remarkable transformation from Barnaby.
If we're critiquing wardrobes, Holmes, maybe you can explain why you used to roll just one sleeve up. Did you get bored halfway through?
Can you satisfy my curiosity?
I'm so sorry. I can't be of help.
I'm gonna die. Gonna die.
Are you all right, sir?
It'll come again. I will die.
What happened?
The lower of death came to me last night. I know it will come again.
Let's start from the beginning. My name is Sherlock Holmes. Could you describe last night's events for me?
I'm Cole Seabrook. It was Maman Brigitte. She came to me in the shape of a giant black rooster. Before that, some hit the wall outside. Then she came in. She took my will and she led me to the water.
Perhaps you were dreaming?
I wish I was. The Great Gator was there. It called me and I couldn't resist, but then the spell broke and I managed to crawl ashore.
Interesting.
I know how it sounds to an outsider, but it was the lower of death and it ain't finished with me.
You mentioned a lower. What is that exactly?
You outsiders only know one God. But there are many and we call them lowers. And Maman Brigitte is one of them. She is the lower of death and life. She heals the righteous and punishes the guilty.
Did you feel anything apart from fear last night?
Yeah. The signs of Maman's presence, no doubt about it. Everything became blurry and my mouth was dry and the light became very bright.
That is something. There are too many imprints here. It's hard to say where he did or didn't go. Supper leftovers. It's not a simple tea. A herbal concoction, rather.
Black tea seems not to be very popular here.
Some chewing tobacco leaves. Cheap and strong brew. He dropped a cup here.
It smells sweet. This one is almost odorless. Interesting. I will take it just in case.
I would love to learn more about these. The healing properties of
Cold
some
ground
herbs
herbs
are truly
here.
amazing things.
And some are extremely dangerous. Are you a good fisherman, Cole?
I wouldn't say so, sir.
Judging by the facial features, Cole and one of his relatives. With William in Shreveport, 1879. We have a feathered friend in the case. The damage is recent. Poor bird crashed against Cole's house. A feather. Not black, however.
Did you really expect to find the feather of rock here?
More boot prints here. Cole was having dinner. He was alone. The herbal decoction started to affect him. He became dizzy and dropped the cup. Hallucinations and stimulation brought him outside. He could have drowned if not for the sobering effects of the cold water.
Sir?
I must ask you, did you have a drink last night?
No, sir, I didn't take a sip. It all happened before I went to bed, and I only drink to fall asleep. That's just how it is lately.
Your boat is wrecked. What happened?
Well, I stumbled over a cypress root.
You'd need some force to cause that damage.
Yeah, and to be really down on your luck.
Cole, I am sure that you were alone last night. The Lowers were not with you.
Well, what else could you say?
I didn't say that I disbelieve you. I'm wondering about this recipe.
It's just herbal tea. I went to Mr. Samdi and he gave me the recipe to help calm my heart.
Is he a doctor?
He is a voodooist. It was risky, but all I wanted was some sleep.
Where can I find him?
On the side of the church at one of the entrances to the Fisherman's Quarter. Look for a Veve sign, but watch what you say. He has the power of voodoo.
I'll be careful.
At least the weather is on our side.
Sir?
Cole, where are these herbs from?
I bought them from Zora. Her stall is at the market near the port.
May I ask you something?
No, I've not heard about that. Sorry.
Can I ask you a question?
What makes you think I can be of any help?
Can you satisfy my curiosity?
You better ask someone else about that.
Excuse me, just one question.
Sounds familiar, but no. Ask someone else.
Yeah, I bet Zora will kill her. Did you see Ashley Rush there? Fearsome woman. Yeah, I'm afraid for them Chinese and for anyone who messes with her.
Yeah, indeed.
Are these herbs fresh? And you dare call my product substandard?
Excuse me, are you Zora?
Product substandard? I am. What do you want?
My name is Sherlock Holmes. I have several questions, if you don't mind. I came here because Cole Seabrook mentioned you. Do you know him?
Unfortunately, yeah. He's my late husband's brother.
You are selling herbs, is that right?
Do you want to buy something?
Not really. I wanted to ask if you have the herbs from this list.
Goldenrod, jasmine, strawberry. These are very common. I do sell them same as any other herb merchant.
Have you heard of Jimson weed?
A poisonous plant, but it can help ease the pain if you know how to use it. Some believe you can use it to create a zombie, a will-less slave.
Is that what you wanted for Cole? Or did you sell it accidentally?
Did Cole get what he deserved? The Loas heard my prayers.
So you admit it was on purpose?
I admit there's a higher power maintaining order and justice in this world, and Cole got what he deserved. I'm happy that it happened, but that doesn't mean I'm to blame.
Can I ask what caused such hatred?
The sheriff confiscated all our weapons, and then the disappearance began. William wanted one rifle, just one, to protect us. Cole was too eager to help, and as a result, my Will got a bullet in his chest.
How did Cole explain what took place?
He just walked away as if nothing happened. Cole is the reason I lost my husband, and he should pay for it.
Don't you want to know what really happened?
For me, it's clear. An innocent man would tell everything. Only the guilty remain silent.
Sir?
I've learned about your tragedy, Cole. My condolences.
Zora told you, didn't she?
Can you tell me what happened and why you feel guilty?
My brother died. I'm alive, and William is not. That's why.
Tell me, what was the plan?
William had to get into the warehouse through the eastern gate, the one not far from the market on the edge of the railroad. I hid behind the barrels. I was on the lookout.
So what went wrong?
William went in, then came back with a rifle. I saw him jump off the crate, and then bang! He was lying there dead.
Did you see who shot him?
It was the bloody sheriff. I swear I saw him smiling.
What happened next?
My heart stopped. I froze. Then the sheriff yelled, "See if there are more rats." And I woke up. I ran away. I had just one task and I failed it. And for my mistake, the lower of death will come for me.
The warehouse eastern gate. According to Cole, it all started somewhere near the barrels. Chewed tobacco. That's the spot.
I hid behind the barrels. I was on the lookout.
An oily handprint. The substance has solidified. I assume that this is cosmoline with which the gun was lubricated.
William went in, then came back with a rifle.
William was shot here.
I saw him jump off the crane and then bang! He was lying there dead.
The bullet went through him, and based on its velocity and mass, I would say the shooter was no more than 35 or 40 feet away. The sheriff stood here. Cole had no chance to spot him approaching.
It's a terrible choice of position, and it cost his brother his life.
Then the sheriff yelled, "See if there are more rats!" And I woke up.
And what did Cole do?
My heart stopped. I froze.
Cole sought safety in flight.
Now I see why Cole thinks he deserved it. He simply left his brother behind.
He did not have much of an option.
Sad. I think Zora would like to know about this.
Yes, I have. I don't know. Just go.
What do you want?
I know you are angry at Cole, but you must know that he is not guilty of your husband's death. I was at the warehouse and I saw it all myself. The sheriff shot William and Cole couldn't prevent it, not even at the cost of his life.
Why did Cole survive then? And how did he return unwounded?
He had no chance of stopping the sheriff, but he found himself unnoticed. All he could do was run or die.
That jackal sheriff. Perhaps you're right. I didn't want to kill Cole. It's just too painful to know that he's still around while my Will's dead.
You can mourn with Cole. Forgive him if you can.
I'll need some time for that.
Sir?
I have good news. No lowers are coming for you. You were poisoned.
What?
Zora sold you Jimson weed instead of jasmine. That was the cause of your hallucination. She wanted revenge.
It doesn't change anything. Look, the lowers were guiding her. I deserved it.
I went to the warehouse and I know what happened. You are not guilty of William's death. You had no chance of stopping the sheriff. Your only choice was to run or die.
That was my purpose as a brother. But I failed William. I'm a coward. I ruined 2 lives in one evening, including Zora's.
I spoke with Zora, and she forgives you. Now is the time to forgive yourself.
You... Thank you, sir. I'll try.
Excuse me, just one question.
I've heard about that. Let me tell you.
Tocqueville? Lafayette! Hush now. No offense, Cher. Them two don't take kindly to gents. Especially foreigners. How can champagne help you? Trip to the bayou? Feeding a huge crocodile?
Some other time, perhaps. Word has it you know everything that goes on round these parts.
Maybe. Maybe not. What you want to know?
The bank in town recently purchased a valuable collection of gemstones from a wealthy man. What do you know of it?
Sure. I hear everything. This time I tell you for free. Next time, you pay.
Thank you.
May have been 1, 2 weeks ago. Rich man's butler sold him some black opals.
And this rich man is?
Don't know his name, only that he from the French Quarter. Folk back in town could take you there. That's all I know. You need a boat? I hire 'em out for dollars. Or a bottle of you-know-what.
Thank you for the offer and the help.
Hopefully we won't stumble upon the sheriff.
Got a spot in mind?
French Quarter, and get us there fast.